Yeah, I was like listening to the last episode and I was like, why do I sound like like I know I have allergies? I think that's good God. I think I sound like I have congestive heart failure or something. So
podcast listeners, we are pleased to inform you that Ryan Davis does not have congestive heart failure.
No, in fact, I went to the doctor recently and my blood pressure was like 108/78 or something like that. So, yes, very far from congestive heart failure.
Yeah.
Blood pressure.
And she's getting the sleep apnea machine. So, woo!
I am going to get a sleep apnea machine. So, because did I tell you the results of it?
No. You have light sleep apnea, right?
It was mild sleep apnea, even though I stopped breathing for like 15 minutes. Or not like stopped, but like my oxygen dropped below like 74 for 15 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck is severe sleep apnea? Like, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Hello and welcome to the I Love You Bet podcast. I'm Heather and this is my sister,
Rian. Each week we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us,
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back at our past to say, I love you, but...
Like I was texting with you last night or talking to you last night, and then we watched Better Off Dead, and I wrote AKA Healthcare in America. Like, you just might as well be dead. Like, yeah, Better Off Dead, also known as the U.S. healthcare system or the U.S. like.
I was trying to make a tie-in with the actual content of the movie, and I'm like,
no, just the title.
Yeah.
No, just
gotcha.
Like even with health insurance and like a good paying job. So one way that I've wasted time today is going through and canceling things that, you know.
Yeah, you don't actually need.
I don't actually necessarily need or use to save, you know, $20 here and $20 there a month. So like
I'm about to do all that
cancel
too.
Peacock and
Barnes and Noble. Oh, you canceled Peacock? Will you let me know which streaming services you cancel so that I can?
I canceled Peacock today. You'll have it through like October or something. So
it's fine.
Do you watch Peacock? I didn't. Sorry.
No. I don't need to be watching anything. I need to be working on books and dealing with my soup-brained elders. So don't worry about it.
The others I kept, but yeah, so like canceled Peacock and sadly canceled the $16 a month to UNICEF that we.
Sorry.
So, and canceled Audible.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. I mean, I was using it. It sounds like I was paying for it and not using it. So.
You can get audiobooks from the library for free.
Yeah, no, I know. So, you know.
This is excellent podcasting, by the way.
Yes, I was talking about how I wasted time with going through my budget and thinking like, where can I slash? Money here and money there and money everywhere. So that I can help pay for healthcare in America. So I don't feel like it's better to just be dead.
Right. Last night I paid $120 for a useless massage.
Fun. So wasting time and money. So maybe we should change this to how did you waste money this week?
Yeah, I know.
How did you waste time?
But on the way home, I was the most basic bitch ever. And I listened to a DJ called Enrique and his show On the Move on Kiss FM. And it was really good. It was like all the hits mixed in and it made me really happy. It's like, okay.
I really, the last few days have had this like, I want to dance again.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I really want to dance.
Yeah.
Like so I guess one way I wasted time is yesterday I went through like the YMCA's because I was like, oh, I'll Google dance classes and for adults. And I'm like, okay, don't pay for it because you're already paying for something. ADD. And was like trying to find where in the YMCA schedule they'd have like Zumba or Booyaka or whatever. And so we'll see if of the timing, but there's one I'm going to try. They only have it on Fridays at like 9:30 in the morning. So I'm going to go during fall break if I can. But it's like a cardio drumming.
Oh, okay.
So I think that might, I don't know if it's one of those where you're like, because you've seen those where people like beat on drums as like a way of like screaming and getting out angst. So
yeah,
I don't know. It involves bouncy balls. So, and then I think I've sent you some like videos of this one guy who teaches you how to do like flash dance is one he does, but then he also does like Footloose because that randomly came on the other day and I was like, this is such a jam. And I've been like listening to it. And I'm like, you know what? I could probably, like I'm feeling good enough with my knees and stuff that like I feel like I could not go hardcore, but I feel like I might watch some of his videos and see if I could get some dance step stuff. I don't know, just something to bring because I've not been feeling a lot of joy in my life in the last like couple of weeks. I've been in a very like emotionally bad place. Part of it, I think, is that the hormones during perimenopause just go real hard and make me a fucking bitch. So, but also just like with education and dealing with healthcare and just like, being American.
Yeah.
In late stage capitalism. So I'm like, how can I find joy? Sorry, I interrupted you, but go ahead.
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, it made, I was like car dancing. So that felt good.
Mm.
So after we got back from Mexico, there was a great big stack of mail, that we had to go through. And I just happened to like cursory glance through it. And I was like, oh shit, they summoned Dad for jury duty.
No.
And then the next day or the day after, I was like, I had like returned Eddie to Dallas and then fell dead for a while. And then I was like, all right, I can function again. And I was like, hey, Mom, did you call them and tell them that Dad can't show up for jury duty? I just threw that away because I figured they'd know he was dead. And I'm like, let's logic this. If they knew he was dead, would they summon him? So I called.
I mean, it's not like they can arrest him or find him.
It's true, but still, like, it just seems like more paperwork. Like, it's more unnecessary bullshit,
Yes.
So I called and they were like, send us an email. I was like, okay, I'll send you an email.
Could you imagine Dad on jury duty, though? Like,
oh, no, he loves it. He loved jury duty.
I know.
Yeah.
I doubt he would be selected. It would have been selected were he.
Oh, no, because he'd do his whole narcissist, like, oh, I can do blah, 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 blah. Because, like, he was like, he got selected one time for Darcy's husband's trial. Darcy's ex-husband.
And then he had to recuse, right? Because he said he knew.
No, he didn't know who the guy was. And then, like, day 2 or 3, Darcy showed up. And he was like, Judge.
Yeah.
And the judge basically was like, oh, man, because it's like, they got a recall and all. And he was like, do you think you can be fair and whatever? And I was like, of course I can.
I also remember him telling a story about one where, like, he was there and it was like a drunk driving one, and they asked, and he said that he had, because, like, I don't remember the story, but I guess that they had been hit when he was a kid.
Oh, really?
Like drunk driver or something.
I just got killed by a crazy old lady when I was a kid, according to Dad. Mom cannot verify this story, but it's also, I was alone with Dad, so it's entirely possible that it did happen, and he just never told her because she would have freaked out, and there's nothing to, I didn't get hit by the old lady. Like,
I remember vaguely, I have a member of like a kid being at someone's house and a kid getting hit by a car.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I don't think he died.
Okay.
Like, he got like run, like he was on a tricycle thing and then like a car, Okay. I could be making that up. I could be having a dad moment.
Who knows? Mom's brain is soup, so I'm about to have to deal with that. And I watched the first episode of The Penguin last night on Max. So if you decide you need to cut Max, let me know. I can maybe kick in or take over.
No, I have to keep Max because I'm watching West Wing on it. And Elliot's been gotten back into some show on that too. So and it has Harry Potter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't cut Peacock earlier, because Harry Potter was on Peacock and then something changed.
Okay. As you start to whittle it down,
I will let you know. Yes, I will let you.
But and it was very, very good. But it was entertaining. I posted on Threads about it under our account because I don't have my own Threads account. But do you remember that movie, The Hours, that was based on the Virginia Woolf book?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but
that's fine. So Nicole Kidman, I believe she won the Oscar for it
because she let herself be ugly. Yeah,
they gave her the Virginia Woolf nose, right? So it was like long and crooked and big. And it was like, oh my God, she's not incredibly beautiful. Oh, I can actually pay attention to how good she is at acting. Same fucking thing, man. And they didn't need to go this hard on Colin Farrell. Like, they didn't need to do all the stuff they did to him, because he is like, I mean, if you didn't know it was him, you wouldn't know it was him. Like, he is a chameleon.
Yeah.
But like, oh, oh, he really is a good actor. Like, he really is. Like, damn, he's a good actor. But we're not, you just don't see the pretty. And so, like, you take the pretty away and you're like, wow, like, God, like, vulnerable. And like, I just love it because so a woman wrote it and created it. So, number one, better, especially if it's going to be a fucking Batman bullshit thing. But, he's not the smartest. Like, take a guy who's not the smartest, not the strongest, like, but he's like, no, this is mine. Like, I'm going to take it. And so he like fucks up, and like, it was quite good.
Nice. He was really good in did you see the one about the woman who wrote Mary Poppins? And and Disney?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Disney trying to get the rights. He played her father.
Okay.
And he was really good in that. Yeah. That was
he's really good. It's just you don't notice because I
watched, so along the same lines, I watched the first 2 episodes of Agatha all the time.
Yeah. How was that?
Good. I'm excited for that, to a weekly little thing of that coming out. And then I did also go back and finish the rest of the new season of Emily in Paris, which got better. So that was good.
Yeah. Okay.
I was I'm grading papers, so let me just put some bullshit on. And I was like,
I've started watching Under the Bridge, which I kind of feel like there's maybe when Elliot's about 11 or so, I want to watch it with him.
I haven't heard of that.
It's based on a true crime, but it's dramatized as well, and it's based on a book. But the author of the book is part of the dramatization. It's strange, but it's all about these like throwaway teenage girls in the mid-90s, and they all think they're like gangster. But like, it starts off and it's like part of the reason this girl who's from like a nice middle-class Indian family, she ends up being enthralled with these gangster girls. And it's partially because like her parents won't let her shave. So like girls are teasing her in the locker room, calling her Beast. And like, to me, it's like all about how if you reject your family and you base your identity on your friends, how it can go very, very badly, and how cruel teenagers can be to each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want Elliot to understand, particularly girls can be very mean to each other. And I want him to understand that is true universally, so that maybe he can have some empathy and not be an asshole. Right?
Yeah. Well, and that because of that, I think it makes it easier for, especially in like a heterosexual type relationship, for males to really take advantage of that like needy and vulnerability and that value seeking. Because I see that all the time. Yeah. But it's like, girl, you are more than the person that wants to put a dick in you. Yeah. Like, please value yourself.
Literally, they'll put a dick in anyone.
Yeah. Like, don't stand out the stinky bathroom waiting on some boy to come out. Like, oh my God. It breaks my heart. But I'm here for it. Yeah. I can't wait till he gets old enough to get his DD education. Like, I'm sending you away for a summer. You're coming back a feminist.
A sex positive feminist.
A sex positive feminist. Have fun. Bye.
Oh, and yesterday we got in Shelly's pool very quickly. And it was like 95 outside. It was 85 in the pool. It felt so good. I mean, yesterday was September 21st, and there we were doing all this stuff, right? We're in the pool and we're talking, and something comes up, and we're all talking about all these old songs or something. And they were talking about how, I don't know, Dave told some story about Frank Sinatra where he like was actually like a decent guy. And then I was like, oh, so it's totally different from Bing Crosby, you know, because he beat his kids. And Elsa's like, well, I can't watch White Christmas anymore because of that. And I'm like, I mean, I still watch White Christmas. And Charlie's like, it's true. You give up White Christmas? It's like, Shelly, you don't have to give up. Like, you can't. Yeah. I mean, I still listen to Baby It's Cold Outside. Like, you have to weigh the art against the artist and the content and the monster. And I mean, you know, it's like a negotiation that you got to do all the time. And I mean, he's dead. Like, whatever. Like,
he's not making money.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully his kids get the residuals or his grandkids or whatever. Like, if he's not making it. But yeah. Joseph was like, Mom, I think I need to tell you, like, he was like, I can't remember, I don't know if it's a real website, but basically it was like, let me ruin everything for you.com. Or
we could make that podcast too.
No, there's already a show called Adam Ruins Everything. So nope.
No, I know.
Yeah. And also too much research. And also it does link us then to this movie, which one of the main actors in it.
I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, why are we watching another one with this fuckhead?
Well, your boo said he thought we should watch it, so I put it on the list.
One way I got to waste time this week was making coffee for myself, because normally in the morning, you know, we have our like assigned whatevers, and Ben always makes coffee every morning. Like, he makes coffee and then takes most of it and leaves like, you know, enough for me to have a cup, which is fine. Sometimes I make more, sometimes I don't. So then Friday I get up and I was like, oh, you didn't make coffee? And he goes, oh, no. And I said, because you didn't want any? Because he's been having stomach issues like diverticulitis.
Yeah, so he's supposed to be on the brat diet, no coffee.
Yeah, so because he's not drinking coffee, he just didn't bother making coffee for anyone. Like,
and that's why I'll be single forever.
Yeah. It's just like, okay.
Grizzleby. Better Off Dead in 1985. What you remember?
I remember like a fair amount about it. Let's see. I wrote skiing, French girl, fast food place, cartoon montage, $2, blonde bitch with asshat boyfriend.
Similar. I wrote $2, claymation diner food, fat phobia, disgusting adult bestie who was 13 years older according to IMDb, a tenuous love story, and skiing. And I should give a trigger. I mean, I don't know if it's even really a trigger warning, but I mean, Better Off Dead, if you can't guess, the movie does have a theme, quote unquote.
Yeah.
There's a suicidal premise. He's not really suicidal, but if you know, if you're my little cousin who cried all the way through Home Alone because she felt bad for the bad guys, you may not want to watch this movie. You'll be like, oh, he really wants to kill himself.
Or if you have been, unfortunately, your life has been touched by people who have, or you've experienced this, then it might not be the best movie where your people are making light of.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And also there are other trigger warnings I would give for this movie, but I still was surprised by the PG rating.
Yeah, that was like, I was going to ask you, do you think this movie could get made now?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, there was so much backlash about that 13 Reasons Why series.
Oh, you mean about all that? Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it would be like no major studio would make it, but it could get made. I mean,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
they make shitty movies all the time.
Well, yeah. I did not remember the cartoon montage opening. Like there was
Neither did I. I wrote, what is the Schoolhouse Rock ripoff?
like, yeah, Schoolhouse Rock / mannequin /
Yeah. Except
then I guess
the animation itself looked very Schoolhouse Rock, I thought.
yes, yeah. But I guess the creator, who once
Steve Holland.
Savage. Yeah, once I realized that was part of his name, I was like, I don't know. It turned me off to this movie.
It clarified everything for me. It was like it clarified everything for me.
Well, yes,
like,
yeah.
Okay.
So I guess he was also an animator, and so yeah, that made sense because I feel like I didn't remember the opening, but like the one scene where he's in the restaurant, like the big one, like that kind of never made sense to me. Like, where does this fit in with the rest of the movie?
Yeah, there's a whole lot in this movie that doesn't really fit in, but yeah.
So,
and those of you who are here for the memes and the cult and the callbacks and the whatever, great, love it, love you, enjoy it.
not this podcast.
You know how we do.
Yeah.
Critically evaluating the crap that we consumed in our misspent youth. We're about to do it.
Yes.
We're about to do it. Hopefully you can enjoy laughing at the movie with us in a different way than you
How
usually.
many pictures of someone
That
is like the line between affection, healthy affection, and stalker obsession?
So here's the only out I can give him for that number of photos. If you think about our phones, if I were to print every picture of Elliot that I have on my phone and put it up now, granted, I don't go and look through every single phone photo every single day, but you know, like
yeah, but then
like,
like,
kid do I really need?
yeah, I mean, I'm also debating that as Apple's like, your cloud storage is full, so either empty it or pay us $10 a month instead of $3 a month for cloud storage. So like, so that might be how I waste my time, is going through and cleaning out pictures on my iCloud.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, but then like you go in his closet and not just like her head on all of his clothes outfits just made no sense at all.
Yeah, no, that's yep. That was,
and how in the fuck does that teenage boy have like his outfits all hanging up, picked out? Like that's not even a thing. Like
he showers in his socks.
Yeah. And then dries them, which I really needed an explanation on that.
The inconsistencies of like character and narrative and everything were just
like I'm like, what are these, like Lucky Socks? Is that
what's
what's
like just it'd be funny if like a guy went like I mean it would be funny, but it doesn't have anything to do with anything. Like
like this whole movie is just it'd be funny if
it's
like the mom's cooking.
Uh-huh. I was worried that you wouldn't be able to hang when that food crawled away.
I was a little like, yeah.
I forgot about the competitive racing with the Asian brothers.
I forgot about that, and then when they pulled up, I was like, oh yeah, these guys.
Yeah.
And then he's putting those fucking dish gloves on. Those are his driving gloves. Are like dish gloves with the fingers cut off. Like,
yeah. So, I dated Charlie, who stole all our spoons, and he did that one day. Like one day, he was like, I don't know if he was here and then he left and came back or something, but all of a sudden we're in the car because he liked to drive really fast, also.
Yes,
and on the dish gloves, it's like. Okay. Let's go.
He also didn't like using the car door. I talked about him stealing our spoons I don't remember why, but I was telling some students in my class about it the other day. I don't know. They were talking about people stealing things. And I was like, people steal dumb shit all the time. And they were like, whoa. I was like, my sister dated a guy that stole spoons.
Oh, he's a kleptomaniac. He stole all kinds of things.
Well, yeah, but they were like, what do you mean he stole spoons? I was like, every time we came to his house, he'd steal a spoon. So after like a few months, we didn't have any fucking spoons in our house.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell him about the stop sign, but.
Yeah. You just told the podcast. Hey, so I, the next thing I wrote was old man bestie in a Charles Dickens hat.
I love the like weirdo best friend in funny clothes that don't give a fuck trope that 80 movies tend to have. Like,
yeah. Well, it's always like the stand-in for one of the writers, I'm sure. So, yeah.
I will say though, he was like really great. Later on, when the guy makes the joke to them about like when they're at the dance.
Oh, and you should shave or no?
Yeah, like before you give him a kiss, and he just like starts fucking dying laughing for like,
and then shows up later laughing about it.
Still laughing about it. Like
the best way to handle an insult. Like,
yeah, like it actually reminded me very much of Dustin Tilton. So like something he would have done to the assholes in high school. Like he was very good at dealing with them. Yeah. So that was like,
take people seriously. Everyone's too terrible. You can't take them seriously.
I know. It was great. It was just like it was absolutely the perfect way to deal with that kind of ridiculous level of bullshit.
So the new ski stud that John Cusack gets left for, whose last name is subtly Stalin.
Yeah.
Stalin, I'm wondering if Gareth from the Dollop just based his entire Brochord impression on this guy. And he was like, you're a fine little helper.
Hola.
Whole thing. I just kept thinking, like, you present sick arguments. And they break up. They don't even show the breakup. Like, it's just a voiceover narration while he's driving home. Like, not that they needed to show the breakup, but like, why even? It was just so bad.
I think it's in my best interest if I go out with someone better looking and more popular.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't know how much research you did. This is one I did do research on because I was like, I'm bored watching this. But apparently the girlfriend, because like the guy who made it Savage, whoever, based this entirely on his life. Yeah. Like this is all true narrative. But I guess after the movie came out, the girlfriend like reached out to him and apologized.
Yeah. So that. Yeah, she's all like, it's just our virginities. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, like, what's the big deal? I love the scene in the classroom, that math scene, where it's just like, what the fuck is even happening here? Like, what is this, like, every teacher's dream scenario?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just the funny idea of, like, most of the time you see people in high school, they're dying of boredom in classroom.
Yeah.
So the idea that they would get excited. But before we get
pull
there,
out their suitcase with their word processor in it. And
I need to talk about two different beverages that happened before. One, I think they just keep milk on their table all the time, which is disgusting. Two, there was a can of Tab in this movie.
I saw the can of Tab.
Before you and Ben fight again, maybe you guys should just rewatch this movie together.
Well, apparently at one point they were red, but then they turned pink.
Oh,
because that one was red, but when Mom bought Tab, those cans were fucking pink.
Yes. I do also find it ironic that John Cusack was driving around and every pop song that was on the radio was like, I heard and love's the worst, and you broke my heart, and that. And he keeps changing it. It's still more sad love songs. And then I'm like, oh yeah, and you were in High Fidelity, which has that whole idea of like, did the music make us miserable or did the misery come first? And I'm like, music makes us miserable. I really don't think before pop music existed, I feel like we got over things a lot more easily. I do love that as soon as Stalin starts dating Beth, they're immediately wearing matching outfits. That made me very happy.
Yes, I did like that subtle like thing.
Mhm.
That was I think the subtle things in this movie were the ones I liked, and there weren't, maybe because there weren't as many of them. Like, who was in charge of that? Because it wasn't the creator guy.
Well, it's the same guy. That's the problem. He just needed a writing partner.
Yeah, or directing partner, and editing
Most
partner.
people really shouldn't write and direct their own thing, right?
Yeah.
Most people need an outside thing.
The basketball team all eating baby food. Like,
Yeah. And how they were like really dumb. I'm like, I mean, I don't think basketball players are that dumb. I know there was the one. I love it. Like, so when we did grad school and we were elder grad students, but it was like our original college experience. Like we had our undergrad experience as grad students. Our friend Tim really, really enjoyed various types of sports, like college sports. And that year the first year we watched a whole lot of college basketball because UK was doing well and that was the year they won and all that.
yeah.
And Tim was all about like, because he went to Kansas, so he was like rooting for Kansas or whatever. And he was like, oh man, because there was the guy with like the floppy hair and he was really cute. And he was like, oh yeah, the coach hates that because the hair, it's like he's like moving his hair out of his face. So it's like ineffective for his basketball. And the guy was dumb as fucking shit. Like they'd interview him after and Tim would make fun of him so hard and be like, oh yeah, like a coach tells me to move the ball, so I move the ball. America.
I love that we watch sports for the attractive men. Like,
well, no, we watch sports because other people watch sports,
and then to make us
we find the part
entertained.
of the sport that we can enjoy.
We're like, okay, well, if I have to sit through this, let me find the most attractive person to look at and watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stuart got so excited because, he tried to get me all into English football, aka soccer. And his team, it was before they got into the Premier League, but it was Manchester City. And at one point he was like, blah, blah, blah. And we were rewatching a match or something. And I was like, oh, that was blah, 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 blah. And he was like, he like got up and like kissed me and he was so excited. And I was like, I mean, he's just cute. That's why I know who he is. Like making those faces. You gotta calm down.
You know what? I'll take the guy that doesn't think about making me coffee. I remembered why I was like, oh, now I remember or know why Ben probably likes this movie, because he was the captain of the ski team in high school.
Oh, yeah. I wondered about that. Also, Ricky's mom.
What?
Ricky's mom felt very familiar. The language of love.
Well, yeah. Oh.
I mean, there are times when we enjoyed things because they remind us of Dad, right?
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, but yeah, I see it now. Yeah,
Yep.
I will say I did have like a nightmare last night, and with you in it, and it was like.
Thanks.
It wasn't, you weren't the nightmare part. Like, it wasn't a nightmare. It was a dream, but it went on for too long. But like, I don't know, something was happening. I can't remember if Elliot was with us. And like the person you were just referring to kept calling you and asking like what the plan was or something. And like finally the third time you just like screamed at her, like on the phone. Like, I can't remember, like, because you'd like repeated it or like, what do I need to feed Ellie? I can't remember what it was, but it was like they kept calling and asking like the same thing over again. And like we were both like, why is this person calling you? Like,
well, we know why they were calling me.
Well, but yeah, and like you were just like, God damn it, person. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah, that I just carry the stress in my body and then get shitty massages that don't work.
Well, maybe you should just start telling people to screaming at people. Dude.
No, I really should. I appreciated that they did address that the best friend is old, because he was like, I've been in high school for 7 years.
For 7 years, yeah.
But then later he was like trying to boost John Cusack's confidence. So he was like, girls get sterile. And I'm like, isn't that kind of the opposite of what you want? Like if you've impressed a girl, don't you want her to like get pregnant? Like you're so awesome and amazing. She's like turned on, or she's like not sterile. Like I'm so hot, I make all the girls sterile. Like I was really confused by that. But then at one point he called himself a spastic nerve bag, and I was like, oh no, that's me. I'm a spastic nerve bag. Like
no, you are the girl who went on a date with him and came out with a calculator and was like, why don't you just give me $13 and we'll call it even? I was like, that is Heather Davis.
Yes.
There.
I will tell you that is definitely, I think, from teenagehood. Whenever I first saw this movie, I was like, yes, this is a compelling thing. Although at that point there was like a bunch of like everybody in this movie was so aggressive in the way they approached things. Like,
yeah.
You didn't need to be that aggressive about it, you know? Like she could have been affable and still done the calculator, but yeah.
I mean, it was just, I guess for me, it was nice to see like everyone had a level of confidence, you know, other than the John Cusack character. But even he would have like fake confidence, right? Because like even he, like going on a date, he was like, going on a date with the hottest person you've ever, you know.
Well, he would have it and then he wouldn't. That's what I'm talking about. It was just very inconsistent.
Yeah. But like, so then she comes out with like the fucking like mouth gear, like, you know, and it's like, she's like, fuck you, you know? Like, and like the nerd guy was just like, fuck you, you know? Yeah. And even honestly, like the Ricky character, you know, was like making that kid move and like, the weird, but again, you're right, like inconsistency, because like at first he's just like, I don't even have words, I'm not talking to you, and then he's like dancing at the so
no, and the Dan Schneider thing just made me really uncomfortable, because as he kept showing up more in the movie and like pulling Monique around, and like I was like, oh no, like I don't know. And like, how would you feel if you signed up for a movie and then, because you wouldn't get the whole script right away, probably. I mean, maybe she did, but like all they do is like push and pull on her and like push on her face and like
that's probably why they couldn't get an actual French actress.
That might be part of it. I don't think they tried that hard.
Terrible fucking accent.
At one point, I did write they really, really needed to have women in charge in this movie. Just one would have helped significantly.
Yeah,
I think that's okay. At one point, there's a throwaway joke about the Christmas tree being on fire, which of course made me laugh, because I was like, "Oh, look at the tree's on fire."
One of our favorite. Elliot watched a Christmas movie the other day, so and we listened to Hippopotamus for Christmas a few weeks ago. So of his asking, not mine, but.
I did write, this movie is terrible. It's just a series of memes. So, but then did you recognize the singer at the high school dance?
I did.
The New Year's dance, you know how like every high school has?
I know. I was like, what the fuck?
And they're closed.
New Year's Day. Exactly. E.G. Daily from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Right. So
he's got.
Yeah.
Random trivia. Either Facebook or Instagram was trying to entertain me the other day, and it was showing me all these women that George Clooney dated, and she randomly was like in the pile. It's like, oh, okay, that's all right.
Good on you.
I will say that I want to give a big shout out to the makers of automobiles, because the key situation has come a long way for women's safety. You know, you have to like find the key and like jumble it in the lock and turn it and then open the door. And it's like, now you just have to get close enough to your car. And it's like, I know you, beep, open up. You don't just shove the key in the ignition and all that shit. Like, it just works.
I will say one bad thing, though. One thing I appreciate about the old key situation is the other day I left my keys in my car, and like I have the new car, and I was like, I don't know, because it automatically locked after a little while. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in my car because I haven't had this happen before.
Shouldn't lock. It should know you have keys.
So, but yeah, like I'm walking to the car, like, what am I going to do? Because I had to go pick up Elliot. So, you know, it's like, what am I going to do if I can't get in my car, you know? And luckily it was fine. But I remembered when I was in high school, I locked my keys in my car. I had the Ford Tempo, you know, the 88 Ford Tempo.
Oh, yeah.
And I remembered vaguely, like, one time we were cleaning the church and they needed to get into, like, some room of the church. And nobody had the key. And Dad was like, well, let me try and see if any of my keys will work. I don't know why. And, like, our house key opened the room to the whatever, you know? And so, like, for some reason on this time in high school, when I locked my keys in my car, I was like, well, you know, maybe someone else has a Ford or someone else's keys might open my car. And like, I can't remember whose keys, but yeah, that opened one door of my 4-door car.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that when I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get into my car. It's like, maybe someone else's boop, boop will unlock my car. But that was fun. Like, you could get into other people's cars with your random key.
Did you see, when you were doing your research, that John Cusack walked out of a screening after 20 minutes?
I did see. I saw one thing, and then I didn't really, like, verify. Because it was, like, as reported by that guy. And I'm like, I don't know how much I trust you. But, like, because he made another movie with him.
Yeah, he did.
So, like, but it was like, like he said that he called him, was like, I hate you and you tricked me and you used me and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, if this was true, why would he have made another movie with him? But I mean, I guess money.
I think he was already filming the other movie when he saw it.
Oh, okay. So they were released. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that movie. Was it One Crazy Summer or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember that one, so I can't remember if it's better.
I think I saw it once. There are a lot of bad John Cusack movies from the early 80s out there. Yeah. Like, he's still a very, very charming. One of the best throwaway lines ever, one of the best line readings ever, just the editing of it. I'll give this credit. Gee, I'm real sorry your mom blew up, Ricky. That is such a good line.
Yeah. It was... Yeah, there are like so little nuggets of gold in this movie.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, it's like a big pile of poop with little tiny little flecks of gold. Do you really want to dig through all the shit?
I mean, I think it's just like if it's on TV, people watch it. Like, I feel like that's kind of how this movie is. So that, like, you know, when the diner food comes to life, you can just like peace out.
Or when he starts playing the saxophone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have that on here. Damn, dude, just fix your Camaro. You shouldn't need the adorable French girl from next door to fix your shit. Then I wrote, women, quit saving men. God damn.
Yeah. And also, if you are obsessed with the Brooklyn Dodgers, why did you do an exchange to California? Like, there's no exchange programs in New York. Like, I find that difficult to believe.
100% there are exchange programs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, do you remember the Dead Milkmen song, Bitchin' Camaro?
I do remember the Dead Milkmen song, Bitchin' Camaro, and Monique introducing us to that song.
Thank you, Monique.
Yes.
And then I just like looked up that song and I was like reading the lyrics and making myself laugh. Even though they had an AIDS joke in it.
My neighbor's dog.
And then I said, so this poor girl had to withstand Ricky and his mother and a bro douchebag who was like massaging her, whatever the fuck he was doing, and a sax solo, like,
and a candlelit fucking TV dinner with a sax solo.
Yeah.
Like, you took her to a restaurant and then gave her TV dinners.
Right.
And then made her listen to you play the saxophone.
Yeah. No,
Also,
thanks.
when you look at like, if you do the research and you look at like some of the things people put on of like the inconsistencies or the mistakes or the whatevers, like I know you get mad at me because you're like, we're not even going there, but like there are people out there who are way worse. Like when he was playing the saxophone, he wasn't using a neck clip, and like there's no way you could actually play a saxophone without using like a neck strap to hold the saxophone. Okay. That's your problem with this movie? Cool. Like the French dressing was yellow, and that's factually inaccurate because French dressing is red.
People who will never get a guest spot on this podcast.
Yeah.
And then he gets up on the K-12 and he's like, if she can do it, like if she's doing my ass, she's obviously a manic Frenchy dream girl. Like,
Yeah.
Dumbass. And then the amount of like
she was like the Marilyn Munster of this movie.
Yeah.
Like everyone else in this movie was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And she was like the normal person who wasn't. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I just started, my last little thing was the characters are all either flat cartoons or they're all over the place, super inconsistent. There's no reason for Lane to quote unquote save Monique at the end. Like, she was fully capable of saving herself. She could have gotten away. Like, she didn't need him. Like, It was very, very dumb. So, I don't know. But,
was the neighbor Kurt Vonnegut, or did he just look like Kurt Vonnegut?
He just looked like Kurt Vonnegut. I don't think it was Kurt Vonnegut. Potentially looked like him on purpose. I don't know.
Yeah, this is not one I needed to watch again.
That was Better Off Dead.
You're the one that showed me Better Off Dead. I had never watched it, and you made me watch it. I remember you making me watch it because you were like, this movie's great.
I mean, I was in high school, so...
No, I know. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying. Because like I had seen like Say Anything, which also I saw, like you made me watch a lot of movies, but I just remember you being like, this movie is great.
Yeah. I really wish we'd watch Say Anything instead. That would have been way better.
Well, I think we'd already watched Say Anything, but
we haven't watched Say Anything after the pod.
No, we had at that point had already.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
I'm saying now for
watch
the podcast.
Yeah, no.
I wish we had watched.
Yes. Was that what we were supposed to watch?
No, I don't remember what we were supposed to watch, but it was not this. We swapped it out.
No, I know we swapped it out because Ben made a suggestion. So we've now taken a suggestion from him. We don't have to do that again. And honestly, it could have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah, no, it was. I mean, I think it fits with 80s teens to the max. Like, maybe it's, I don't know, too much money and creative control given to man boys in the 80s would be a better theme.
It's just like, is this written by a man and is it based on his personal life story? Cool, done. Because like, it's like Almost Famous. Like, like,
yeah,
gross. Like, I don't care. Like, no one cares about your fucking white man story. Like, we're done. It also like has like a yuckiness about it.
Yeah,
that reminds me of like all those Nickelodeon shows from the 80s. Like, you can't do that on television and like.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about because, like, I know part of why you don't like watching the young ones is that, like, kind of.
Yeah, it very much had like a young
crawled
one.
away. I was like, oh no, it's like the young ones.
Yeah, like there was very much a like that kind of, which I didn't enjoy, but it didn't like set me off or anything. So
wreck your life.
Yeah, well, medication.
The good news is that this was the last of our 80s teens to the max.
Thank Christ.
And we're going to pivot. And do you remember?
Can we make a rule that if a movie has a fucking child molester in it, we are not going to watch it, or are we not doing that?
Alleged? I think you want to add the word alleged, Ryan Davis. I think you need to say that right now.
I'm not talking about a specific person or a specific movie. I'm just saying.
I would like you to say alleged.
An alleged child molester.
Thank you very much.
You could have edited
Potential future you thanks you for doing that. I think
dude,
that's
if we
rule.
get sued, that's gonna give our podcast lots of like advertising. So
I don't want to deal with it. Don't. Did I hear you? Did you remember earlier when I said mom has soup brain? I don't have time for this shit. We are moving into fall. You know, it was 95 degrees here yesterday. Obviously, fall's here. So new season, new theme. Do you remember what it is, Ryan Davis?
No.
Do you want me to tell you the movies really fast so you can guess?
Sure, go ahead.
The Little Mermaid, Princess Bride, Fairy Tale Theater, The Never-Ending Story, Labyrinth.
Fantasy fall?
Fairy Tales!
Fairy Tales!
Yay!
Well, this will be fun. Are they actually making a new Labyrinth? Or like, I can't tell the difference between like, is this like someone's AI fantasy or is this actually happening?
I'm so glad you brought that up. Every single time I see it, I'm like, is this just AI?
I do like so many things like that. I'm like, is this a real thing or is this just somebody like, oh, I wish this would happen? Like,
yeah. And then I don't bother to look it up because I was like, I don't know. I guess I'll just wait and see if it actually happens. But like, yeah, I know we live in a really, really weird space and time where like I saw a headline, you know, and it was like, Cutie Pie is going to do Labyrinth. And I was like, do we have to do Labyrinth? Like, I mean, you know, great. Cutie Pie's doing it. And then I saw him in makeup and I was like, does that mean it's really happening? Or is this like an elaborate AI campaign?
Yeah. Like, I don't like, that was another way. So another way I wasted time the last couple of days is, you know, AT&T was like, oh, your phone's paid off. Get a new phone and pay us more money. So I was like playing around on it. And then I was like, what if I did just get a flip phone, not a smartphone flip phone? Like,
please don't, for the sake of the podcast. Please don't.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a. Yeah, I guess. Okay, fine. That's
please don't.
Well, like, what I would do is like keep this phone. And so I'd still have, I could use it on Wi-Fi.
True.
But like, you know, and so as long as I was here and I had the Wi-Fi, like I could still, you know, FaceTime with whatever and do stuff like that.
Just delete the apps.
That's probably what I'm going to have to do is just delete Instagram because it was bringing me joy for a while and now it's not. So, yeah. But then I don't know about that dancing guy. So, yeah, because then I was like, well, what about when I drive? Like, I really like Waze. Yeah. And then just thinking about like all that, like back in the time when we all had to have like separate things.
Yeah.
To do all that. I print a map, directions. Like, do you want to go to North Carolina with me without Waze?
No. No, I do not. I was telling everybody, we were talking about Waze in Mexico. And, you know, because I'm always switching the voice because I use it so much that I like get tired of the voices. And it was like the best experience I ever had, though, when I was driving to Kentucky and I was listening to The Sandman. I think it was book 2. And so it's all these like gorgeous actors with their beautiful voices and all this intense, like, and dragging people to hell and all this, you know, darkness and all this. And then like, I had been on 40 forever and I forgot who I had set as the narrator for my Waze. So all of a sudden it's like dark. James McAvoy no, James McAvoy being all serious. And it was like, in 1 mile, said, hey, studio. Sent it to the 80s aerobics instructor. Oh, it was so good. It was like, this is peak smartphone existence. Like,
I will say that. That is a nice feature. And like when I find out people do, I'm like, why don't you use it? Like, yeah. I mean, most of my use is not to get me somewhere because like I usually know where I'm going. It's where is there traffic in Lexington? And
especially in Lexington. Why on earth wouldn't you use it there? That whole place is just traffic.
I know.
Hey, that's it.
So what are we watching next week?
That's it for this episode of I Love You, But join us next week when we discuss The Little Mermaid. I want to be where the people are.
We're watching the original too, yeah?
Well, I think it's the original. I mean, there's probably like...
Oh, okay. So we're watching the first Disney one that came out in the...
Disney animated feature from, I believe, 1989.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And what made you laugh? What made you cringe? What did we forget? What should we talk about in future episodes? We want to know your thoughts. Did we ruin Better Off Dead for you? Can you tell us why you think it's the greatest? Find us on Instagram and Threads at I Love You But Pod. Oh, and also, for those of you who are like, the Asian brothers are cool and the Howard Cosell thing is great, it is, and they are. And that dude learned to do the accent, put an Asian twist on it, and then they overdubbed him with another actor. So even the parts that you think you might like about this movie, if you dig a little deeper, you might be disappointed. Email us at iloveyoubutpod@gmail.com.
We gotta dig a little deeper. Sorry.
Listener email and comments may turn up in future episodes. Be sure to rate, review, and follow I Love You But wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. I'm Heather.
I'm Ryan, and we wish you lots and lots of conditional love.
Conditional love.
Finger guns. Finger guns.
Just flipped off the camera. Rude. Stop recording.
What?